So today we are going over the results of the June Art Dare. But first, if your studio habits need a kick in the butt, Art Prof has everything you need: tutorials, critiques, and professional development. So you guys, for the June Art Dare, did body art. This is either painting or doing makeup on your body, or designing a tattoo that you could show on someone's body. So we were really excited with what we have today. First off, we have
Melody. We'll be taking turns reading the artist statements, so I guess this is my cue to start. But anyways, Melody's artist statement says, I focused on what I would personally want if I were to ever get a tattoo. The length of the wrist tattoo emphasizes the slenderness of the wrist, and I like the way it tucks into my watch. The peony tattoo was a digital piece I designed. I could imagine it as the starting point of a sleeve. Yeah, actually, I found a lot of people for this art dare have thought, oh, this is the perfect time to design my dream tattoo. And I think that's wonderful because there is something very personal about body art. I mean, it is on your own body. So, of course, you would put all that thought into it. But later on, I'm actually really excited. Maybe people will actually have their body art pieces tattooed and we can say, oh, this started from the art dare on our Prof.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. And I also just want to say that I love the specificity with Melody's designs, how they are actual plants, like real peony. And I think that having that reference to something in the real world instead of like a made up flower or like a stylized flower from the tattoo shop, I think that gives us some insight towards maybe some of your attributes, which is great for this personalization thing, Kat, that you were talking about.
We have a comment from Slepnir that says, so this is literally a body of work by the artist. Slepnir and the puns. Back at it again.
I don't know what I do without Slepnir's puns. I use them in my own life sometimes.
Wow.
But I don't take credit for them. I give the credit to Slepnir.
Okay.
I love this one too. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I also like this one too. I think it works as a body of work, as Slepnir said. This may not be plant-based, but it definitely lives in the same world as the plants. I guess it has to do with like the minimalistic style and the way that the line work is so delicate and so even throughout.
Yeah, I was going to say that minimal tattoos, I feel like, are some of the hardest tattoos to do, not because they have some complicated design, but because the placement on the body is really, really important. It's supposed to just accentuate what you like about your body or what you think is interesting. And so I think this does this. It almost looks like a ring. It's very delicate, very subdued, but it shows a little bit of hand decoration, brings attention to your hands, which I like. Okay.
We have our next artist, who is Alice, and Lauryn will read the artist statement.
Alice! We're going to get better at these transitions. Alice says that contemplating the best word for an emotion, a facial expression, or scene leaves a writer in a state of dread and satisfaction. Through body paint, I can depict the relationship between the body and the written word and explore different stages of the writing process.
Oh, that's so interesting. I think, sorry, interesting is such a mundane, bland word. But I was in the middle of still reading the artist statement myself too, but there is an element of speech about this body art, which is intriguing because normally when people think, oh, visual art, it's visual, clearly. And then we add this extra element of body and we think, oh, that's already encompassing so many layers of, how do I say this, expressing yourself through art. But Alice has done the additional work of including speech. And it translates itself in the artwork, but it also translates itself into the, the model herself in the photos, which I thought was a huge point about these works is that Alice has really considered what the model is doing for these photographs.
Totally. Absolutely agree with that. I think the reason I love these pieces is not so much because of the body art itself. I mean, I like the body art itself, but there is a clear contemplation or consideration of the context of this work beyond just the body, all the elements, the background, the positioning, the expression, all of these are considered, and that feels very strong and effective and further emphasizes and empowers the actual body work itself.
We have a comment from Ryan Nesbitt that says, gorgeous photos. I love the red background. Yeah, everyone's picking up on all of these elements in these photos of body art. In this case, I think the photographs are the art too.
C. Cantrell saying, notice that she's covering her mouth where speech comes from. Yeah, it's as if the text is taking place of the speech itself. It's making visible these kinds of vibrations and words. And I mean, I can't even read anything. I can find individual letters, but I don't know if it's actually saying anything. But I don't care because the shape of the letters is buzzy. It's putting together that sense of vibration, of buzz, of hubbub that's coming out of her mouth.
Mm. Sal DeVito says, love the hands, like trying to find language. Yeah, and actually in both of these photographs, the hands are doing very different things. And the first one is covering the mouth, and this time is covering the eyes. So there's been a lot of thought put into what the body is doing in the photographs and how that could elevate the body art itself.
Jane H. says, yes, I thought that too. Is the tattoo the art or the photo? Well, that's really the thing. Body art and performance in general is very much about the documentation. That is like half of the art itself. And so here the documentation is extremely prominent in lifting up the body art. And that is really the gray area, is where does the body art start and the documentation end?
Lauryn, I'm curious what you think of the application of the body art on the body itself. I think it looks like paint. And what I really like about it is that it does feel like a painting. I mean, in the previous art dare we saw, it felt very minimalistic. It felt very, how do I say it? Very curated. This is curated in a very different way. This actually feels painterly. And as a painter, what are your thoughts on this technique?
I actually thought it was done digitally, maybe, because I'm having a real hard time trying to see where the shadows and light are hitting the paint. I mean, it could be tricking me. It could be paint actually on the body. But so I'm really interested in creating this 3D effect on a weirdly 2D but 3D surface, which is your body. I mean, there's so many divots and hills and all that, like across this area here. And so this is using this, I guess, canvas to create even more different space, more illusionistic space, which is pretty cool. I guess a good, cool painterly approach to use.
I'm curious, AJ says, the eyes are so prominent in the first one, and the second one, that lack of eyes is what's interesting about it. When it's such a close-up photo of somebody's face, usually people are drawn to the eyes. It's true. And I feel like in this photograph, the eyes are half the battle, as you would say about the presentation, Lauryn. And the fact that they're missing in the other piece, sort of, they definitely belong as a pair. They definitely belong as a pair. I feel like the key one also has something to do with speech, since it is positioned also on the throat.
Yeah, and also similarly how the eyes are there in the first one, but gone in this one. The mouth is gone in the first one, but there in this one. So that's also really leading me into this speech thing that we're talking about, and that throat positioning also. Like the hands too were over the throat in the first one. So yeah, definitely picking up all those similarities.
Alice in Wonderland says, hi, I just hopped on. OMG, thank you for such nice words. It was done with body paint on my body. I just had a lot of light in front of me when taking the photo.
Ah!
Yeah, oh, that's great. Guys, everyone, take note. The way Alice said lighting and the fact that the curation of the photos are really, everything is on purpose. And the fact that the body art, we were thinking, oh, is it digital? Is it body art? I think that's a sign of really good documentation, actually.
Yes. When you can trick your viewer, that is great.
This next body art piece is by Madeline, and the artist statement says, this art dare was so much fun. I have always enjoyed drawing on myself. The gel pen was a last-minute choice since I didn't have any henna. I ended up being very happy with the gel pens and their vibrant colors. I remember always drawing on myself with gel pens. This is such a throwback. I actually don't know if I own any anymore, but this is so exciting to me. Lauryn, have you ever drawn on yourself with gel pens?
Oh yeah, this just brought back a wave of nostalgia. I remember being like in 3rd grade, 4th grade, and having all the jelly roll pens, I think they were called, and we doodle on each other like at recess, and it was just like this. It was so, you get the opacity with the jelly roll pens that I'm seeing here, where that green is super bright and like limey, and then also those pinks feels like a nail lacquer almost. And I just really love that saturation, the way that it sits on top of the skin.
I like this openness with medium. I don't think people recognize gel pens as really a quote unquote fine art medium, but you know, they're really the perfect medium to draw on yourself with. And I see that Madeline has really taken advantage of this aspect. Another thing that I found intriguing with this piece is the word henna used in the artist statement, which leads me to believe that this body art also has some cultural significance behind it, or has some other history that maybe I'm not too familiar with, but I think it exists.
Yeah. Using henna is always a very particular thing because it's part of what rituals, I think, in Indian cultures, I think. And so just that is a cool thing to pay attention to, is like, what does your medium, what is its context? What is it going to bring up if you put this on the body? We've got a comment from Lori Ward saying, as dainty and wonderful. And I absolutely agree. It's just very joyful, these colors here.
God's Little Artist says, I like the placement of it. Right. Previously, Lauryn talked about the body being a very strange, lumpy canvas with its divots and its shapes and its surfaces. But in Madeline's case, I see that the body art follows the shape of the hand. And I don't know if we've talked enough about designing body art around the body necessarily. We've been talking about drawing on it, but we haven't talked about designing on it and around it. And definitely there is a really good flow going on in this body art that absolutely takes into account the shape of the hand.
Yeah, I am more interested or more enjoying the overall flow of these flowers than any of the individual parts themselves, which I think is a sign of a good composition or using your canvas in the right way.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, and we have more body art concepts from Mary, and Lauryn's going to read the artist statement for her.
Yes, Mary says that my inspiration was a plant in the back garden. One morning, I noticed a woman walking in front of me with a tattoo on her left shoulder that was a similar shape. So I added a skin tone to the background and made the center green. And then the other two images that we see here are inspired by the caryatids, I hope I'm saying that right, of the Wallace Fountains near Paris. Also using Wikipedia, stock photos, live and dried flowers, and bird's nest as references. Remember the green man foliate heads that people used as garden ornaments. So lots of history going on here, which I think is pretty cool.
I like how it starts out pretty organically, being in a garden, a back garden, and just coming across somebody who was walking by who happened to have a tattoo that was also nature inspired. And then as the art dares go along, it becomes more mythical, and drawing from different kinds of natural resources, such as the Wallace fountains and this green man foliate heads. So I really like the evolution we see. It starts out simple. I passed by a tattoo. It reminded me of this. And then it evolves into, oh, I visited this really wonderful garden and saw these wonderful statues. And then the artwork becomes more mythical as it goes on.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head, Kat. This is such a exemplary situation here of the artistic process and healthy ways of coming up with ideas for one's work. And I'm really glad that we do get to see your process images here, Mary, because that makes me feel like inspired to go into my studio and look at all of my little tchotchkes and things and come up with ways to further that into something real and personal, or like thinking about Clara's like Oma bread. Like they all come from these small things, like a little flower garden design. Oh, wait, it is here in Paris. Oh, wait, it's also these green man heads. Like it just expands and grows bigger and bigger and bigger, just like this hat. And I love it.
Mm. We have a comment from Lisa saying, I'm checking my arms to see if I have any accidental body art. I almost always have a smear someplace.
That reminds me, I had a friend in high school when she turned 18. She was like, oh, I'm going to make fun of all those people getting tattoos when they turn 18. And she got a tattoo of 3 freckles. She's a very freckly person, 3 freckles on her arm. That and they actually fell off too. So not only was it a tattoo that you couldn't see, but they also like came off afterwards.
Wait, so it was not permanent?
No, it was permanent, but sometimes if the skin gets damaged, the tattoo can like fall off.
Oh, well, the more you know. Take note, everybody.
Okay, so anyway, we have Ryan Nesbitt now.
And his artist statement says, I did a variety of looks from demon to hippie to an 80s rock star. I always felt like makeup was a big part of my expression. I always felt outcasted for being gay and gender non-conforming. I feel like when I do makeup, I'm taking what people hate the most about me, what people bullied me for my whole life, and I'm shoving it in their face and saying, look at me, I'm gorgeous, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. I am putting beauty and love into every look I do, and that makes me proud. Wow, I think that's a very powerful artist statement, Ryan. And I think that it also perfectly describes all the looks you are going for. And let's take a moment to appreciate how many looks Ryan has. This is overwhelming, and they're all super well done and documented too. Very different concepts as well.
Yeah, I love how each one's different too. Like you didn't just settle for a real interesting eye. You did wigs. You did color coordination with the background. Love that purple yellow. You did different kinds of camouflage techniques with multiple eyes going on, or that pattern with the bee, what do you call those things? A honeycomb thing? Yes, that. And I just love the exploratory nature of these, how you've tried so many different aspects of body paint and decoration on the face.
I also want to add that on top of the wigs and the hair color and the consideration behind these props, we also have to take note that the clothes match the body art too. Like if we go back to the previous honeycomb image, I just can't help but think that shirt was on purpose. That it's like got holes in it and it kind of mimics the honeycomb shape as well. Like all of these little details, people may not remark upon them, but people will kind of notice them. And I think that's just what ties a piece together. Every single one of these photos is stunning, Ryan, and I think that there's been a lot of thought put into every one, and collectively it's a very strong body of work.
We're just gonna forever be indebted to Sleipnir. Alice in Wonderland says, these are stunning. They really catch the eye and absolutely love the color schemes. Yeah, totally agree. The characters are so interesting with each of these because maybe they're all you and things about you, but they're all different aspects of you. They all seem like different. They could be their own person in this way that makes me feel like you're a Gen Z Cindy Sherman or something, which I'm really into.
Yeah, and speaking of different looks, I at first suspected these to be different models.
Yeah, same.
Different people entirely. But then reading the artist statement and taking a closer look at the photos, I realized, oh, these are just different aspects of Ryan's identity being shown through these body artworks and these photographs. And I just think that's such a great way of using body art. It's being able to express oneself in all the different facets that you can have as a person.
Yeah. You can be more than just yourself. You can be super real or supernatural, something like that. Seven Angelic Enigma says, I love how you coordinated your prop and makeup with the lollipop. Yeah, this one is bizarre. It's a little bit surreal to me because the lollipop almost feels like it's bleeding into Ryan's face. And that's pretty trippy for me, especially with those colors.
And the detail of the color on the tongue too.
Yeah. I wonder...
Like this photo could have had just like the tongue and its natural color, but then the fact that there is color there kind of makes the tongue part of the body art.
It also makes me feel like this isn't just an aesthetic. It's also a real... There are more senses involved here. I wonder if that was actually lollipop that Ryan ate to get his tongue green.
Laurie Ward says David Bowie or Dallas Cowboys. This seems up your alley, Lauren. You love David Bowie.
I don't know about the Dallas Cowboys, though. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. But yeah, I could definitely see the David Bowie chameleon element there. Okay, so now we have Sal DeVito, who says, I painted over the veins in my art with acrylic paint while I was doing some anatomy studying. And there is another design that I did too. The other part, I designed a back tattoo with the image of the Siena Cathedral in Siena, Italy. I'm a fan of the architecture of cathedrals, and I'm a fan of the trope of tough guys in movies having full back tattoos. Yeah, I'd love to see this actually in real life on somebody's body. I think that's actually kind of a really beautiful, poignant thing to have the architecture of one's body melded with the architecture of some of, you know, the grandest buildings of our time.
I like this theme of structure in both of Sal's artworks. I don't know if it's on purpose, but this is definitely looking at the structure of the arm, or at least, I don't know, veins coursing through it, which makes me think, oh, Sal could totally expand on this and maybe even make it a very anatomical sort of body art. Man, I don't think I've ever seen something like that. Somebody being very anatomical with their tattoos or their body art, or seeing photographs of it. Have you, Lauren?
I feel like I've seen that before, at least that trompe-l'oeil kind of thing where it looks like the flesh has been burned away, or not something gross like that, but ripped away so you can see either bone or muscle underneath in this very dramatic kind of way. So it's like this could be the start of something like that. But Sleipnir says, love that as an audience we are surprised, even though we know the subject is body art. And yeah, I think that it's so cool how you can just throw out a subject and people can have so many different interpretations. What body art is really shows the flexibility, versatility of the body.
I want to add on to the fact that these two, even though they seem very different, there's still that underlying theme of structure for both of these body arts. And I think that if Sal were to continue making a series, maybe it would be even apparent to Sal that this theme is something that he's very interested in. I think we're just seeing these two and we're like, structure. But maybe it would be cooler to see it in a larger body of work. But as an aside also, I just like how each of them they're inspired by very different things, but we still find a connection between the two.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to see more tattoos, more interpretations of structure. I'm suddenly thinking of mecha now and bionic stuff and how that could get involved with all of this. That seems to be the in-between between the organic body and the types of buildings and stuff that we have.
Ibekwe is saying the mixture of masculinity and religion in the work is really nice, and the use of blue is wonderful. Right, we totally did not talk about the model of the second body art, which is very macho. Was it Italian? Am I stereotyping? It seems like an Italian gangster man.
Trope of tough guys in movies. I was thinking of The Sopranos, so I'm right there with you on that.
I mean, okay. It's not just me. The artist statement literally says Siena Cathedral in Italy and trope of tough guys and movies with back tattoos. So I don't think I'm that far off. But yeah, this is totally part of the art. It's this character that Sal has created.
Oh, Sal's got a comment too. Senatus Populusque Romanus, the Senate and people of Rome.
So this person is real.
Senatus Populusque Romanus. That is the place, or that is the person? SPQR on the top. Oh, got it. Thank you. I know, I got so wrapped up in the cathedral itself, I also wasn't even looking at the words. I was just saying to myself, that text, it balances out the heaviness of that blue, of that intricacy with the tattoos. So you got that symmetry going on there too, that balance. Anyway.
Our next piece here is by AJ Johnson, and their artist statement says, tattoos and body modifications because it allows the person to express themselves. I want to become a tattoo artist, but for that I need an apprentice portfolio, and this was perfect for that. SFX makeup always blows my mind with how some people are able to completely change how the human body looks. It's crazy how much work and time goes into doing that on yourself, let alone another person. Right. We see here another body of work that is very different from one another. And I feel like if we keep looking at it, maybe we'll find some underlying themes that tie all of it together.
I just think it's really cool that AJ was able to turn this into a useful career growth opportunity thing and being able to start putting together those first bits of a portfolio. So good on you for getting two birds with one stone here, doing the Art Prof Dare. Furthering your goals, your future career goals. I think that it's also really nice to be able to see a presentation where you have the drawing, the tattoo, what the design looks like, and then the placement on the body in this like one versus the other kind of way. That feels very pro to me.
Right. I've definitely seen Instagram artists who design tattoos do exactly this. So it feels very professional to me. I think this feels like a bona fide, how do I say it, tattoo apprenticeship portfolio. What really struck me was in AJ's artist statement saying body modification and SFX makeup, because we're talking about, body art, let's design it on the body, around the body, but we didn't say necessarily how much it changes the body. And I think this is really cool to see how these tiny tattoos will change that entire body part, essentially.
Yeah. I think we start talking about it when we talk about how a tattoo is placed on the body, because it does then emphasize that point on the body. But it becomes more than just the body itself. There's a huge difference between someone with no tattoos or body modifications and someone that starts accruing things on themselves. They almost become like a book or a trace of all of their past selves or something beyond just themselves. W315 Bird says, oh, love the writing on the foot. That's so about leaving a mark on the world. It says, what will my legacy be? Yeah, so here we have even a symbolic placement of where the tattoo goes, not just a visual aesthetic like emphasis or de-emphasis. It's a foot where you're making like a footprint on the world. And so that is also a cool consideration in all of this.
Ryan Nesbitt says, I agree, very polished work. So cool. Right, very polished, very, very professional. I liked how in the very first image we saw, the butterfly wing was a reflection almost of the ear. So it felt like it was all a butterfly, 2 wings. And it just goes back to show, yeah, body art can be decorative. Body art can just be on the body, but body art can change the body, or at least change the way you look at it. You look at this ear differently than if, say, the wing wasn't there at all.
Yeah, I was more looking at how the wing framed the face. I think it's so hard to put together a good face tattoo. So I was looking at the way that emphasizes the features on the front of the face. I wasn't even looking at the ear at all. Now that you say that, I totally see how that could be the other wing of the butterfly. That's very cool to me.
We have a comment from Uncurious AJ at 7Angelic. That's a lyric from one of my favorite songs. Same with the foot. It's crazy how much songs affect your life. Right. Some of these pieces could just be, oh, let's just design a tattoo, put it into my portfolio, all done, it's great. But some of these tattoos can be very personal. And I think it's great to see that mixture in AJ's portfolio. It shows their breadth.
Yes, totally agree. Sweetenly says, as I get older, I accrue things on my body, but it's not art. Well, we hadn't really talked about this so much in the stream so far, but I was definitely thinking about it, how I just went to a dermatology appointment and how my skin has accrued many things over the years that were not there, say, 15 years ago. And tattoos can be part of that, but also your skin can just also be, it's maybe not part of the art, but it is like traces of your past self going onto your future self, which I think is something really beautiful that you can work off of in your art.
We have another piece by Carlotta from Germany, and Lauryn will state the artist statement.
Yes. So Carlotta says, I first had the idea of a pomegranate tattoo 2 years ago when searching for a motive that would complement a pine cone tattoo on my other leg. I think that was motif. I like the symbolic meaning of it as it occurred in the Bible and some accounts of Persephone being abducted by Hades, it being a means of seduction and rebellion at the same time. The question it raises is, where am I as a woman, a victim of higher forces, and where do I have agency over my own story? Wow. I love the mythology and history here too, using that pomegranate, which is, I feel like a well-known story, but also not the first that I go to as far as symbology for fruits and vegetables goes. So that is really interesting in and of itself. I feel like I've been reminded of something important in your design of this tattoo.
I agree. That's a very strong artist statement. It's so wonderful to see how different people are inspired by different things for these body arts. And yes, it ties back to mythology and Persephone and Hades, but this is also very personal body art for Carlotta, and I really like these different themes that we're seeing. But we don't just see the pomegranate, we also see a bunch of other works that Carlotta has done. And again, I think it's great when people have a body of art. That's certainly not required for these art dares, but it's so cool to see the breadth that Carlotta went through, because we also saw makeup and just, how do I say this, simple tattoo designs. We really see it all.
Yeah. Alice in Wonderland is saying, I love this. The seeds are confined within its walls. And that was something that I was really drawn to, is the voluminousness of all of those seeds. And the pomegranate feels almost like a heart, the way it's set up. It has those different ventricles that are actually just walled off parts within the pomegranate, how it's got all those weird little like skins around it. So I think the melding of symbols here is also super interesting and very deftly done.
There is something about multiples that happens, it seems, in Carlotta's work, because she also described a pine cone, and now I want to see what the pine cone looks like too.
Yeah, me too. Okay, are you ready? Are you guys ready for the prize? Who are the winners? Got to do a drum roll. I don't have a drum here. Okay, the honorable mention goes to Alice. Alice.
Hooray, Alice. Yeah, I think we were very drawn to the fact that these are such well-curated photos, and the fact that not only the body art exists, but the body itself is making art. And everything about the documentation work is lending itself to the strength of this piece.
Yes, the performative element to all of this is very strong, and it makes that text on the hands come alive in a way that wouldn't be possible without all of the foundational stuff in the background that you've done.
And the prize winner is Ryan Nesbitt. Congrats!
Ryan, great job. With your confidence just shines through in all of these pieces that you've done. It felt very powerful. We were immediately wowed by seeing all of the different kinds of work that you've done with makeup and with outfits and the whole 9 yards in these. They're kind of like selfies, but also art.
Yeah, there was a previous art dare we did about selfies, so maybe check that out too. But in addition, I think it's also very, very strong artist statement, backstory, and concept. I think Ryan has done a lot of reflection on oneself, and it resulted in such a strong body of work that, congrats, you get the prize.
We do still have art dare going for July. That is about, what is it about, Kat, this time around?
Personification. So taking an item you normally would not assign human emotions or human, how do I say this, personifications to, and personifying it. So make sure you check out that art dare. Remember that this Google slideshow is available in the link below, and our prof has a podcast available on Spotify and iTunes. Go check it out. Join us in the post live streams channel on Discord, and remember to subscribe to the Art Prof channel. Thank you to our top Patreon supporters. Without all of you, we would not exist. So thank you for supporting free education, art education for all. And we will see everyone on the next live stream. Thanks for joining us, and congrats to everyone who participated.
Congrats! Bye!